I am Amy Gonzalez. I'm going to turn the presentation over to you to introduce the topic and let us know who's joining you today. Presentation.
Thank you, Laura, and thanks to NDI and ETA for the opportunity to be on the call today. We are going to talk about fiscal year 2018 Employment First State Leadership Mentoring Program applications. And we are also going to talk about our updated data tool called Data and Resources to Inspire a Vision of Employment, or DRIVE. And then we'll talk you through some of the WIOA matrices that we've created and some of the helpfulness that you'll find in some of those elements. And after that, we're going to turn it over to our colleague Chip Kenny, who will go into detail about the customized employment essential elements. So let's get started. So we are very pleased to share that at the end of September, the 2018 Employment First State Leadership Mentoring Program applications were issued, and applications are due on October the 13th. Our goal is to notify selected states on October the 27th, and then on November the 3rd, we will receive confirmation letter from the states to the program contractor that will confirm the acceptance of training and technical assistance for fiscal year of 2018. States have the option to apply for two opportunities, which is either to be a core state or a Vision Quest state. Our goal is to accept 10 core Vision Quest states, 10 core states, and 10 Vision Quest states. 2 states can also apply to be both or solely just one. Now, the big difference in between the core and the Vision Quest state is that we require 6 partners to be committed and at the table for core state training and technical assistance. Those partners are education, vocational rehabilitation, intellectual and developmental disabilities, Medicare, mental health, and workforce. For those states that do not have all those partners at the table, they aren't able to apply for Vision Quest. Vision Quest only requires buying from 2 to 3 agencies. So let's say that you have a partnership with vocational rehabilitation and maybe the Medicaid agency, and you want to work on an MOU that really focuses on WIOA. You're more than welcome to do that with those partners at the table, but we would definitely recommend that you loop in Ed and some of the other stakeholders. Laura is going to share the archived webinar for the application, and she's also going to share a website to subscribe to the Employment First Community of Practice. That is how you can apply directly for the opportunity. Some of the areas of foci that we have this year are school to work transition, employer engagement, provider transformation, just to name a few. So now what I'll do is I'll turn it over to my colleague, Richard Davis, who's going to give a brief overview of our newly vamped up DRIVE website. Take it away, Richard. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Amy. And then I see I've got the presenter status now, so I'm going to go ahead and pull up here to share web browser. And let's see, hopefully this will work here. Give me just a moment. I think it's loading. Okay. And Laura, just to confirm, you can see this on your screen as well, right? So other folks can see it, or the website's pulled up? All right, perfect. So this is the homepage for the DRIVE website, Data and Resources to Inspire a Vision of Employment. So on the homepage, if you look to the right, you'll see a national snapshot with just some basic statistics talking about, national population, number of people with disabilities, number of people with disabilities employed, all ages 18 to 64. Those kinds of things are just sort of the at-a-glance stats, and each of the state pages has that information state-specific as well. When you look at the map here, if you hover over, you can see, like, for example, Texas, it gives the state population, number of people with disabilities, so you can get that snapshot info for each state that's covered on the map. Below that, you'll see links that say featured resources. These are in order from the most recent ones that we've uploaded. So as you can see, we have a Vision Quest replication manual. As Amy mentioned, you know, Vision Quest is a type of technical assistance we offer, but we created this manual with our subject matter experts where any state or agency or policymakers that wanted to use that framework in order to do policy, the guide is there with some tips on how it's been used and some examples of ways that policy can be developed. There's also an Employment First State Transformation Guide. This is actually based on the WIOA Advisory Committee final report recommendations. That guide gives examples of 10 critical areas that were covered in the report that overlap with some of the things that we cover in the Employment First program here at ODEP, along with examples in each of the 10 sections of what states have done to successfully implement things like interagency coordination, seamless school-to-work transition, having a data system, data collection system. Those kinds of things are all given as examples in there, along with links to other resources. Another one that's worth mentioning is a provider transformation manual. That tends to be the most popular form of technical assistance that we get requests from through Employment First at ODEP. And so this manual is over 100 pages long with separate modules on, I think there's like 7 different modules in there off the top of my head. And each of it can be used in its own way, but they have different areas of focus. So there are things like the operations focus of an organization, the consumer focus, you know, individuals served. There's lots of great information in there on that, so that's also helpful to have. And then the rest includes some technical briefs and other things, and you can click on View All Featured Resources to see all of the other ones there. But those are some of our more recent ones that are on the home page, so I figured I would just kind of mention that if you are visiting the site. So at the top of the site, you'll see these tabs that say Home, National Data, State Profiles, State Comparisons, Advanced Search, and About. And so what I'm going to do is, if you click on a state, it'll jump directly to their profile, but I'm going to start with National Data. And when you go on to National Data, you'll see there's also 2 tabs here. The one to the right, Featured Resources, takes you to that link I was talking about earlier on the home page with all of the national resources we upload as they come out. We typically host them here on the Drive site. But you'll also notice the statistical information that's updated quarterly as new information becomes available. So you'll see we have the most recent data for the general is from 2012, 2013, and 2014. And if you look down here, it tells you on the notes where the source was, so the U.S. Census Bureau Fact Finder, along with a direct link to it. So that's where those different data points are pulled from as they are released. Now, in addition to the general data, there's also from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, again, with a link to the source, Social Security outcomes, again, with the SSI Annual Statistical Report as the source, mental health outcomes coming from SAMHSA, Wagner-Pizer outcomes from the state-by-state performance records, workforce development outcomes, vocational rehabilitation outcomes from the RSA basic VR DIFRA measures, those kinds of things, IDD outcomes from the State Data National Report on Employment Services, education outcomes, AbilityOne JWAD, as well as wage and hour division data pulled from the spreadsheets that are shared on the wage and hour website that talk about, you know, for example, 14C certificate holders, you know, how many nationally, how many individuals, those kinds of things. And so this information is all on the national page, but I'll show you as we move on too, on the state profiles, we have all of that information broken down by state as well, so you can see specifically how states compare in each of those categories. So this is the main data page, and as you can see, just lots of useful info all in one place from multiple federal sources. But with that, I'm going to go back to the home page. You can get to this through the State Profiles tab as well, but I will use, let's say, Maryland as an example. And so we will go and click on the Maryland state, which takes you to the snapshot homepage. So as you can see on the right again, you have the snapshot data for the basic statistics. State VR rates and services, you can actually download this PDF. There's one for each state that has a breakdown of all of the different VR rates and services that are available. And that'll also then take me, if we click on the state data tab. Was there, I'm sorry, is there a question? I think I heard something come through.
Some background noise.
All okay? Okay, sorry. So the state data snapshot, again, very similar to the national one, but this one is state-specific. So some of the sources are a little different. So like, for example, let's see, on mental health outcomes, you know, it's reports by geography. Some of the sources are more state-specific, but all consistent across the different ones that are tracked state by state. The IDD outcomes, state data, national report on employment services, those kinds of things. And yeah, so again, you can kind of see where each of the different sources is coming from, and at a glance, see all of that information in one spot. So this is where the states have a little bit of a few extra tabs on the top. So one is actually I'm going to skip the WIOA profile. I'm going to go to policies and initiatives first, because we'll come back to that. And if you look here on the left, it says show all, and in parentheses it says 64. That means there are 64 resources that are tagged for Maryland, and this drops them down by category. So 5 of them are legislation, 2 are executive orders, 16 are policies, 9 are partnerships, 13 are about systems change funding, 10 on training and capacity building, 1 on enforcement, and 8 on Medicaid and employment. So if you look over to the right, these are in order from most recent. So this one was from April 2017. It's the Maryland Achieving a Better Life Experience Program account clarifications, along with the citation that takes you to the bill that this is referring to for the ABLE program, along with a permanent link in case that link is ever broken for the citation, you can still get to the source of where it was pulled from, so that we've posted those. Because occasionally we notice that the citation links as websites are updated, we get broken. So we try to keep the citations up to date, but we also have them permalinked below as well. So anyway, this is available for every state. You can look by each of those tabs, and you can narrow down the search. So let's say you just wanted to look at systems change funding. If you click on that, it displays 1 through 10 of 13, and this gives you all of the ones that are tagged under the topics of different systems, like Department of Rehabilitation Services, Department of Workforce Development, or systems impacted by this one. Topics are on everything from school to work transition, mental health, employer engagement. And the website allows searches by those different systems and topics as well, which we'll demonstrate in a moment. So using Maryland just as the first example on the Policies and Initiatives tab, what I'll do is I'm going to go up to the top again where it says State Comparisons. And over here where it says Comparison Category, we can compare state data, VR rates and services, or the WIOA profiles, but I'm going to use state data first. And we'll compare, let's say, California, Maryland, and actually, you can usually add up to 3, but let me see here. We'll just do it on, let's say, VR outcomes for the year 2013. And if I just hit apply, hopefully in a moment here it will load. And then you can see sort of side by side where those data points are available. You can compare Maryland and California's VR outcomes from 2013 side by side. So that's an example of how to use the state comparison tool, and again, that kind of ties back into, like I said, the data categories, different things are tagged. The other part I wanted to show you is the advanced search. So if we come down here, again, this is all 2,459 records organized by state in alphabetical order. So here we have Alabama with the most recent Governor's Office on Disability mission statement tabs there. But on the left, you'll see that you have these different check boxes, and you can also expand to show all of the different states. And let's say you wanted to get more specific and say, I want to see all of the executive orders. So there are 49 of those. So now that narrowed it down. It says currently displaying 49 records. And so now these are all of the executive orders that are linked through the website. Let's say you want it on a specific topic. There are 21 that are tagged for employer engagement. So if we click on that, then in a second here, it'll refresh. And then now you have the 21 executive orders that are on employer engagement. And let's say we wanted to see just the ones that were from 2014. If we know that was when it was passed and you're looking for one, there are 7. That narrows it down to those 7. And then you can choose even which states you wanted to pull up. So that just kind of is an example of ways you can narrow down using the advanced search tool if you're wanting to find some examples of things from other states on particular topics or systems such as education, workforce, mental health. You know, depending on what you're looking for, you can check those boxes and narrow it down to find specifically the types of things you are looking for. So with that, I'm going to go back to the state profile and just briefly give an overview of the other feature I mentioned. I'll use, let's see, California as an example. Let me jump to their profile. I mentioned that there is the WIOA profile. So when you come on here for California, you'll see the material slide below is taken directly from each state's plan for WIOA implementation. These sections of the state plan were selected because of their relevance to youth and adults with disabilities. However, all programs and services under WIOA must be physically and programmatically accessible to individuals with disabilities. So if you look up here, there's links to view the full WIOA state plan or to download the WIOA profile PDF. And then there are tabs here for EFSLMP, the Employment for State Leadership Mentoring Program, Customized Employment, Braiding and Blending Resources, Section 188, DEI and Disability Resource Coordinators, other state programs and pilots that support competitive integrated employment, financial literacy and economic advancement, benefits, school-to-work transition, data collection, small business and entrepreneurship, career pathways, and employment network. So just as an example, if we say open the customized employment tab, you can drop down and see the parts from the California WIA state profile that were in reference to customized employment. So with that, I'm going to go ahead. Andy was very involved with the development of these WIOA matrices. I'm going to turn it over to him. And Andy, if you want me to click on anything as examples, I'll let you go ahead.
Would you go back to Callie for just 1 second?
Yeah, the state profile?
Yeah, sure. Just go back to that. So actually, the window you were on was perfect.
This one?
So yeah, if you guys look at these elements, these data elements, click on small business entrepreneurship, please. So as you can see, California has some cited material for entrepreneurship and small business. And so what we did is we provided from your state plan, I don't know how many of you have read your state plan, but it's kind of taxing. But what we wanted to do is make it more tangible for everyone to be able to read through the pieces that they wanted. So if there's a way to leverage small business or entrepreneurship in your work, now you have cited material to see where does this fit in our state plan and how can I leverage our partnerships through that. Go to blending and braiding resources,
sure.
Please. And so see here, you see several items of blending and braiding resources, because that is a full capacity of what WIOA's intention is. So for the state of California, this is a way to leverage your items that are in your state plan to say, this is what's already happening. How can we build on these items already? So as Richard did already, he went through all the elements. So I'm going to skip over to Marilyn. Richard, if you go over there really quickly. And then I want to take a peek at Marilyn. And Marilyn, you know you're awesome. But I want to give an example of some things that may be a good way to, put forth in your next iteration of the state plan. So click on DEI. So as you see here, there are no elements listed currently in your state plan. And I just say that to say that if you go on to this website and you see that there are no elements listed within your state plan, this is a great way to see how you can be engaged on the workforce boards so you can add elements to the work that you're doing through DEI or through another component if you click on small business and entrepreneurship. And there's also another avenue where you can add more elements in. Now, I will say that the WIOA state plans are going to be revised within, they're going to start being revised within a year and a half. So this is why this element is timely now. So you guys can start reviewing your state and then say, these are items that we need to focus on or that we need to build more upon. So that is the matrices. Like Richard said, you could click on the full state profile.
The view full, state plan, sure.
Oh, no, the PDF.
Oh, the PDF, sorry, I can do that.
Go back to the PDF.
Download the profile.
Yeah. So if you download the profile, I just want to open it up real quick because it's actually quite lovely. You can get like a full, will it do it? I hope.
I think so, it's just loading, so you'll get us, there we go.
So now you can see all the items in one PDF printed out for individuals to look at, really get a sense of what's going on. And, you know, most of them are 10-plus pages, so it's a lot, but it's good to have handy on one document. So that is covering the WEOA matrices. You guys can ask me questions once you go through your state and have comments or items that you want to address. And then you have a link here. It's provided through RSA's website. You can find the full state plans or go back to the website and it'll give you the actual document itself. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Chip Kinney. He's from the WinTech. He's also a great subject matter expert on VR and customized employment. So with that, Chip, take it away.
Okay.
Hey, Andy. Hi, everybody. Thank you. And I want to compliment you guys on a great data site. Can anyone get access to that?
Yeah, it's publicly available. It's easy access. The Lead Center actually hosts it, but the link is, we just changed the name, so it's drivedisabilityemployment.org. So DRIVE, disabilityemployment, all one word, .org. Will take you to the Drive website, and it's hosted on the Lead Center's website.
Please utilize it as much as possible.
Yeah, we will utilize the crap out of that. That's really, really good.
Chip, it's Laura. Before you start, I want to make sure everybody can see the PowerPoint. Richard, did you stop sharing?
Yeah.
Okay,
on
good.
On our end, I hit stop sharing, I think, so it should be back to the PowerPoint. I just want to make sure
everybody can see it.
Yep.
The PowerPoint. You don't see it?
I do not see it.
Okay. Yeah, Richard, try again.
Let me make sure. Yeah, let me see here. Maybe it was over here.
I can see it on my end, but I can.
Can you see the state plan?
That's the WEOA stuff.
Yeah, or
maybe.
Let me see if it's on share.
Yeah, so if you hover above there you go.
Yeah, and I'm going to hit stop sharing, so hopefully that should take it back to the, now does that take it back to the PowerPoint for everyone?
Great, yeah. Chip, do you see the PowerPoint now?
I still do not, but I have my PowerPoint up on another screen. I can just go by
I want to make sure. So let me check with somebody else. What do you see? Does somebody see the PowerPoint, or do you still see anybody?
Hi, this is Taryn. I see the Drive PowerPoint on the screen.
Okay, so you do. So you see the slide. So Taryn, let me ask you this. One moment. Wait a minute. I move here. Do you see
the state matrices? Now the contact info. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I see as well.
They're standing up. So that, and again, this is the PowerPoint that we'll share after does include the email addresses and contact information for Amy, Richard, and Andy. And now, Chip, you are ready to go.
Great. Thank you, Laura. Can we go to slide 2? So what I'm going to present in a short period of time is a project that the WinTech, which I'll explain what that is quickly, and the YouthTech collaborated on with a bunch of other people. The WINTAC is the Workforce Investment Technical Assistance Center. The Youth TAC is the Youth TAC that covers youth in transition mainly, and we both have common purposes around customized employment, and we wanted to get together and come up with a document that really defined customized employment, but we wanted the subject matter experts to generate this document and then get universal agreement, or as close as we could get. We weren't sure we could get there, but in fact we did. We started in January. This is a 30-page document, and it was drafted by Mark Golden Associates and contributed to by Griffin Hammis and Transcend Incorporated, as well as Virginia Commonwealth University. And these are probably the four major players, four major trainers, four major founders of customized employment in the United States. We had a bunch of other reviewers from APSE, Department of Labor, of course, and Department of Education, Rehabilitation Services Administration. Can we go to slide 3, Laura, please? So also involved in this were, besides the ones I mentioned, the lead center, Rebecca Salon, contributed, as did the Association of Community Rehabilitation Educators, which is basically a certifying body. It was important to have them in there, and I'll talk about their role in the next steps portion of this. Slide 4, please. So this is what we hope to accomplish from the essential elements. We were looking for consistency in customized employment training across the nation. We were also hoping by building upon consistency that we would have an increase in customized employment training providers. Right now, the demand that we're seeing in the states far exceeds the amount of training resources that are available. As does the number of service delivery providers who are out there who can do customized employment. And we wanted to help use this document as the backbone to increase not only the capacity but the sustainability of customized employment as a service to individuals who need this service. And finally, and most importantly, the big outcome is significant increase in the number of individuals with most significant disabilities achieving competitive integrated employment. Slide 5, please, Laura. So how we have used this document so far, what we ran across in many of the states that we were working with on customized employment was we would hear this frequently, that providers would say, well, we've been doing customized employment for years, or agencies said, VR agencies said, well, we tried customized employment, it didn't work, we don't want to do it again. And what we were dealing with was a lot of people's perceptions of what customized employment was, a lot of urban myths, et cetera. So we wanted to have a document that we could say with some definition that these are the essential elements and sort of put an end to those issues. We are working in 8 states now and expanding quickly, working with not only VR agencies but DD agencies in education and other partners and CRPs in doing sustainable customized employment projects. So this will help there. We also have used the essential elements in helping states do requests for proposals for training to all the 4 training vendors out there. And critically for us, the essential elements will be the backbone of any evaluation that we do, not only of the training, but the service delivery and the state capacity, subsequent state capacity around customized employment. So next slide, Laura, please. So just a brief look at what customized employment projects are that the WINTAC and the Youth TAC are engaged in. We have a really comprehensive planning process that could take several weeks, but it's well worth the time. Just understanding the lay of the land in the VR agency, understanding who the partners are, understanding what their needs are, just in terms of staff and community capacity. And then we develop a training program for not only the VR programs, but all partners that are engaged in this, and that's based on the essential elements. Training, any training that's delivered around customized employment that WINTAC sponsors or has a role in must contain the essential elements. The essential elements also help inform us working with the states on their policies and fee structures, and as I mentioned before, the evaluation protocol is developed using the customized, the essential elements. And then another key aspect is that we don't leave that state. Well, potentially we never leave the state, but we work with them to build plans to expand customized employment beyond pilot sites and to sustain them without having to constantly go back to the training providers. So we're very much interested in building the internal capacity of the states to do customized employment going forward. Next slide, please. So one of the key documents that we use in planning with the states is what we call the roadmaps, and the key elements of the roadmap are the state vision of customized employment, who are the key partners, what's the role of the partners, and the responsibilities, and what's the implementation plan look like. So it's implemented in pilots, in phases, all at once, and then the evaluation plan. Next slide, please. So we currently have ongoing customized employment projects in 7 states. California, because it's so big, we actually have 3 pilots going there, and Transcend, Griffin Hammis, and Mark Golden Associates are all involved in that state. So it's a good opportunity for us to see and compare customized employment as training is provided by those 3. What are the differences? What are the similarities? What are the strengths and challenges of all 3? We also have Nevada, Idaho, South Carolina, which is an agency for the blind, which has a unique take on this, Minnesota, Montana, and New Hampshire, and we have 5 or 6 more on the pipeline. So next slide, please. So this is the web address. If you go to wintac.org on the front page, that's the home page for WINTAC, but this link will get you directly to this document. The roadmap and other related documents that I referenced are also on that website. Next slide, please. And that's my contact information. I know I buzzed through this, and the essential elements is there's 31 or 32 essential elements. It's a lengthy document. I didn't do it justice, but I'm hoping that you all will take a look at it and provide feedback, and I would be happy to either call or somehow correspond with you about any questions that you might have, and we're always looking for collaborative partners, so we'd love to have that discussion as well. So,
right. Yeah, thank you. So this is Laura again. Thank you. Chip, I noticed that there were several DEI projects, states in which you're currently conducting the pilot with the customized employment essential element. So hopefully, if there's not already a connection, there can be.
There in Idaho, for sure, I know with Gordon, who hi, Gordon, I know you're out there. So on this call, so yeah, we've made that connection there and other places as well.
Okay, that's really good. Well, I want to thank all of you, Amy, Richard, Andy, and Chip, for the purpose of today's presentation was to make all of the projects aware of resources and strategies that you can leverage through multiple funding streams for people with significant disabilities. Really like these options. I know David Jones, when the state plans became available, was sharing with states, make sure you go check out your plan. I think the WIOA state matrices is a wonderful way that the elements, probably more pertinent to the DEI projects, is broken down. And love going through the Drive site because Richard joined us maybe a couple years ago, and you can see that it has been enhanced and what it provides. And with Amy, I'll make sure an email will go out today with the links, so because October 13th is coming up, so that people can sign up if they're interested.
Sure.
Yeah, want to thank
and Laura,
all of
this is Richard. I was just going to add, if there were any questions that came in, we'd be happy to answer them. Or also, you have our contact information on the slides. Feel free to reach out with us if there were any questions about navigating the Drive website or the EFS LMP information. We're happy to make ourselves available for that.
Thank you for that opportunity. And I want to, first off, this is David Jones from ETA, acknowledge Richard and Andy's work on this. That site is fantastic. And I just want to say that I think it's user-friendly. I know Andy said, please use it. And I wanted to reiterate why it's important. Oftentimes when you meet with state stakeholders or elected officials, you've got to have data. And, by going to a site like this, you'll have data at your fingertips because they always say information is power. So, please use this site because I think it can really help you advocate your position when you work with state officials. So I wanted to mention that. I do know, and this is a question for Andy and Richard, on the VR website, when they have state plans, one of the useful features they have is they allow a state to compare themselves to peer states. And for instance, in your example, if you cited Maryland, the state would kind of, like on the website, it would recommend these are states that have similar demographics as Maryland. Is such a feature available on this website where if Maryland wanted to know who could be their peer state, could that option be available for them?
I don't think we have that set up right now, but that is something that we could, look into putting in the future, though. Yeah, like having similarities and things like that to sort of compare or maybe get ideas for things like that. Yeah.
David, and this is Amy here at ODAP, and every year our goal is to update the site with new tools or other resources. So this will help us incorporate the new addition into the tool that we amend this year.
Yep.
Yeah, I know from monitoring VR, like it's Gordon Graff, as I monitor the VR agency a long time ago, Idaho VR agency would be curious to know who are my peer states. And oftentimes there would be a state like South Dakota or North Dakota, very rural state, small population. And I think that is very helpful for states to have a benchmark in knowing how they compare to others. It's just so they have a sense of where they may stand with, different data. Overall, a really great resource to have so then people can advocate their positions.
Definitely. Yeah. Great. Thank you.
And we also want to open it up for other questions or comments if you are on mute. And if you use the self-mute feature, you can press *6. And so please don't feel bashful. You can speak up and ask a question or make a comment.
Hi, Laura. This is Gordon from Idaho.
Hi, Gordon.
I just wanted to highly recommend the resources that Chip Kinney had recommended from WinTAC and YTAC. Here in Idaho, having just that knowledge of what is customized employment and having it a common knowledge between the agencies involved has made all the difference. And thank you, Chip, for all of your assistance with the project here in Idaho. We just finished a second round of training from Griffin Hammis, and it has been just really well received. So thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Yeah, you guys are doing great things in Idaho, so congratulations.
Great, thank you for that, Gordon. Other questions or comments? Okay, then I want to thank again all of the presenters, and thank you for sharing this wonderful information. It will be the webinar, and the archives will be posted, and we did send out, Chip, I'm not sure if you knew this, we did share the 2 documents, the essential elements and then the recommendations with the agenda, and we'll post them along with the other materials to the website. These are great resources, and we at the NDI DEI TA team are finding different ways in which we can get targeted resources out to specifically the grantees, especially the disability resource coordinators on the ground level. So don't be surprised if you don't see some of these.